Two. Welcome back into the film room. I'm your host, Eric Turner. As always, joined by Anthony Prohaska of Disguise Coverage. Ant, what's going on, brother?
I'm sad, Eric. My heart is broken. I'm still gutted. There's no disguise coverage this week. I was kind of going to take a week off. And then I was like, well, we're
Timeout? You
probably
call
going
a
to do the
timeout?
film. Yeah, I was. I wanted a timeout. Maybe would have called two of them and then come back and play an
Oh,
episode of this coverage.
wow.
Yeah, I wanted to take a timeout, but then I DM'd you. I was like, hey, we're doing film room, right? And you were like, yep. And I was like, oh. So I watched this film to get ready for this episode, and my heart broke all over again. But we're gonna go over some fun things, but also some important things. There's
Yeah.
a lot to break down and put into consumable parts for Bills Mafia and football fans in general who have so many questions about why this game ended the way it did from a Bills perspective. And that's going to be fun and therapeutic. And what's also fun and therapeutic is, we're not alone in this episode of
We
the
are
film.
not.
We've got a guest with us tonight, and it's going to be a good time.
Yes, and
Oh,
as you guys know, I tweeted it on social media and whatnot.
spoiler.
Mr. Bruce exclusive himself is joining us. Bruce, welcome to the film room, brother.
Guys, thanks so much for having me. It's a good time. It's, disco balls, dancers, things I try and tell myself to, fight my way through the pain.
Yeah. I mean, everyone deals with this loss and is dealing with this loss a lot differently. I personally, I went right back in. I dove right back into the film after the game. And then once the All-22 came out yesterday, I dove right back in offense and defense. And that's really the therapy for me, mainly because, seeing why things happened and, obviously prepping for the show and whatnot as well. I think that for me helps me cope with a loss like this. Obviously a big loss in the divisional round, 42-36 loss to the Chiefs at Arrowhead again. Anthony, how do you cope with the loss? How are you coping with it? I know you said you're a little gutted, but I mean, did you dive back into the film? What were some things that you did immediately after the game, or this morning and even this afternoon leading into the show?
So I did the post game immediately after the game Sunday. That was rough. I tried to avoid all sports all day yesterday. I'm talking like didn't come near anything on sports. I watched some Ozark. Got ready to start some Yellowstone. Watched anything and anything that I could that wasn't sports. Played some video games. But then I went back into the film. I'm someone who I want to bury my head in the sand and forget that those things exist just to bring down the emotion a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But then it helps to get back in there, like you said, like get back into the film, look at it, and really try to understand, because I'm all about moving forward and taking the positives and making them sustainable, or then taking the negatives and course correcting for them and moving forward. And I want to understand and know what went wrong, what went right, and how to course correct or continue them in order to get a Super Bowl and a championship. Yeah, Tim knows Yellowstone is going to be sweet.
Yeah, Yellowstone is dope.
In order to get a championship to Buffalo. And it's still tough with the emotion. I'm still dealing with it. Like I'm still going through it, but I've started to cope little by little.
Bruce, what about you, man? What'd you do to deal with the loss here? And has that evolved over the years? Obviously, being during the drought, we were kind of used to losing. But now that they're, a successful program now, like what are some ways that you deal with losses? Obviously not as many as that we're used to back in the day.
I always give myself a little bit of time to feel the necessary emotions that are necessary to be able to process it healthily. But for me, once I turn off the TV, I'm done. It's over. I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
My energy then has to turn to my wife, who is far more emotional than me, and she's still grieving now. Here we are, much, much later, still grieving. But for me, it's a matter of emotional and intellectual consistency. I said at the very beginning of the year that I didn't believe in Super Bowl or bust. Like, I don't believe in that concept, because the implication there is that you win a Super Bowl or it's a failure, and all failures are then equal because they all are lumped under this idea of bust. And I cannot say that in July and then not behave like that in January. I can't. I'm doing a disservice at that point to all the people who listen to my show. I'm doing a disservice to all the people who believed me when I said it back then. So there's almost a moral imperative for me to continue on as I had been, so that I am making sure I'm practicing what I preach. So for me, it's a matter of being intellectually consistent. It's a matter of approaching it the appropriate, healthy way and giving myself a little bit of time to feel the things I need to feel. But then once I turn off the TV, it's done. It's over. I moved on.
No, that's Patton Plays makes a good point here. He looks for perspective. He's sad, but if you told him we look like that against the Chiefs in a year, I'd have taken it. If you told me that in 2018, the draft, Allen would do this, I would have run through a wall. That's a good point, man. That's a good perspective, especially when we get to the Josh Allen film and talk about whether this was his best game. Is something we've honestly brought up in the film room like the last 4 weeks or so.
Yeah.
But it's something we're going to talk about when we get to the Josh Allen film. But I want to start with the defense. It's been talked about immediately in the chat room. 13 seconds left in the game. As you know, this was such a crushing loss because Bills fans thought that they won it 2 different times, really. But really at the end there, it was just like, yes, they have timeouts, but there's only 13 seconds on the clock. And obviously the Bills melted down. They absolutely melted down late in that game from the top down. And we're going to talk about some of those facts that and why that happened. But it's obviously something that a lot of fans have been speculating about since the end of the game in the post-game presser with McDermott and some of the things he said there. It's something that, he kind of touched upon in the presser today. And you kept hearing him say over the last few days about the execution of the kickoff. And that's where we're going to start. We're going to start with the kickoff and the speculation because there's a lot of people saying, hey, I think Bass was supposed to kick it deep and he didn't. Hey, I thought, Bass was told maybe that he was supposed to, squib it and he didn't. So there are different, theories to what really happened there, especially when you hear McDermott talk about execution and he took accountability for that, and he should, because while there's all that speculation, the facts of what happened was that the coaches failed, and they failed on the kickoff and they failed on the defensive side once the Chiefs took possession of the ball. The kickoff was botched. The fact of the matter is a squib was called. All right. And Tyler Bass did not get the call. Supposedly he was warming up on the side, and the special teams coordinators had the kickoff team in the huddle, and Bass didn't get the call, guys.
I want to throw up.
You hear about McDermott talk about communication, preparation, attention to detail. This is a massive screw up from the top down, from McDermott involved in that. Obviously, Heath Farwell, Justin Smiley, the assistant special teams coordinator. For Tyler Bass not to know that a squib was called is a massive failure. How that is not communicated to him is just beyond me when it comes to being a coach and communicating. And communicating is one of the top tenets of a good coach. So, there's some accountability that's needed there. And I know a lot of fans aren't getting it from the pressers. And that's just what Sean McDermott is and how he operates, because he's a great leader. And he should, be keeping that hush-hush. But the fact is, a squib was called. The call never made it to Tyler Bass. And that just can't happen. So I'm going to throw it to you, Bruce, to start off, man, and your thoughts on the facts of that botch kickoff.
I think the thing that people are really disheartened by is they don't feel satiated from the press conferences that they're getting. They want blood. They want a head. They want someone to yell at. As Greg Tomset said in the comments, show me someone to be mad at. Right. And that's what they want. And they're not getting that, because what they're getting is the broadest possible explanation from Sean McDermott, which is execution. Now, I want to make sure we talk about this a quick second, because the way that the media and fans on social media have historically interpreted the word execution is that when I say execution, I mean a player screwed up. Now, that might be true, but there's an entirely different aspect of this, and that is, why did the player not execute the vision? Because really, what you mean when you say execute is the vision was not executed. It's passive voice, not active voice. So when you say active voice, you say Tyler Bass screwed up. Okay. When it's passive voice, it is the execution was not executed, right? The vision was not executed. There can be lots of reasons why the vision was not executed. It could be that the coach didn't communicate it correctly. It could be that the player had a lapse in judgment. There's lots of these things. And so what Sean McDermott's doing is he's literally picking the broadest possible terminology to inject the most amount of variables so that you don't have someone to yell at. Because I hate to break it to you, Sean McDermott does not care about your thirst for blood.
No.
He does not care that you would like to be mad. And if you would like to then turn that anger on him because he's not giving you someone else to yell at, he doesn't care about that either. Mm-hmm. So I think that it's really important we understand that execution is not Sean McDermott blaming a player. Execution is Sean McDermott becoming intentionally vague because he knows that the distance between the vision of a play or the vision of a game or the vision of an organization and the execution is full of lots and lots of variables. It's the reason why I mentioned on social media, it is the reason why a lot of companies do away or trim back with middle management, because middle management is where vision goes to die. What you're doing is you're sticking people right in between the people who have the vision and the people who execute the vision. And so for a lot of people, we don't understand that there's layers in between the people who have the vision and the people who execute the vision. And every layer between is an opportunity for failure of execution. And that's the reason why he's saying it. He's saying that because he knows that. When he says execution, he can just use this gigantic term. And he flat out said, I'm not going to go further into it. I'm not going to give you the head on the stake that you want. I'm not going to give you the blood. Right. And if you decide you're going to yell at social media that I should be fired, I don't particularly care. So that is the thing that I've taken away from the last couple of days of Sean McDermott press conferences and talking about this.
Anthony, your thoughts?
Yeah, I second that notion. I think Bruce is spot on there. I tweeted it earlier today. I loved how Sean McDermott kept it purposefully ambiguous with his verbiage. So because people initially were like, oh, it could have been a player. And then I was like, oh, well, it could have been a coach. Well, then what coach or how many or whatever? Like he, exactly like Bruce said, he cast a wide net. He cast a broad spectrum of possibility because of all the variables that exist. And honestly, it's something that we should come to expect from now. We get so much coach speak from Sean McDermott all the time. I think Belichick gets talked about so much as this guy who gives the media nothing. Sean McDermott is very much in that regard. And even with like the Bills organization in general, I think that's what so much of the conversation was this past offseason with all the COVID stuff and social media from stuff. Usually this Bills team is a vault from being all the way down. Nobody says anything, whether it's impressors, whether it's leaks about potential free agents or trades. Like this team is a vault. And I think a lot of that stems from Sean McDermott. They keep things in house. And I also think, it's not just to pat someone on the back for it, but I think Sean McDermott deserves credit for that. He knows how big of a moment this was. He knows how much of a blunder it was in how they lost this game and how this season ended. And I commend him for, as Bruce said, not putting someone's head out on the stake and not being like, oh, you want your pound of flesh here. This is what I wanted, but Timmy screwed up. So we should all hate Timmy. Like he's a leader. He is the leader of this team. It starts with him and he, shouldered that burden. And it's unfortunate to see where we are, but I commend him for it and also for his coach speak and continuing to stay on top of things mentally and not letting the moment get the better of him.
Yeah, like I said, it's the sign of a good leader. And so we're going to take a quick look. I tried scouring the sideline view, end zone view to kind of get a look or maybe a hint of, like I said, the fact that they did actually call a squib kick. It just never got to him. And so you're going to see Tyler Bass kicking it off here. And I want you to pay attention to how on the right side of the screen here, some of these players to the right side here are looking back right here. Specifically, I believe this is Saran Neal, obviously one of these special teams aces, looking back to the sideline. He looks a little like what happened here. And I think there's another player. Yeah, they're looking at the sideline. Hold on. Why was that just kicked deep? So again, this is just, playing into that story there. Like, look at him. He's even putting his hands out. He's like, what's going on? Why did he kick it deep? Like I said, the squib was called, guys. That's a fact. That's not speculation. It was called. It just never got it. It never made it to Tyler Bass. And that's just not good. And, we're seeing it in the comments, like for as much as McDermott preaches those, tenets of being detail oriented and all that and communication, being a good teacher, yada, yada, yada. That type of stuff just can't happen. And, we've seen him go through these type of things from time to time and, coaching blunders and, learning on the job in a lot of ways as a head coach. And those things happen, and I felt like in the pressers after the game and how he visibly was, and even in the presser today, it's got to be, eating at him to know that, the coaching is really what let the team down. And the coaching is really the reason why they didn't win that game. So I want to get your quick thoughts on the fact about that call. So the kickoff, real quick, Anthony, is that a fireable offense? Is that something that you let your coach go for? Because someone's got to take the heat here. He's McDermott's internalizing it and not giving us anything. But is that something you believe that, given the height of this game and how the Bills had this one, Josh Allen had this one and it was ripped away from him. The team was ready to advance and bring a game home to Highmark Stadium. Is this a fireable offense?
It's so tough, and I knew this question was coming, and I've gone back and forth on it so much. I think it's a fireable offense if this is something that's happened before. Maybe there's more things internal that we don't know. If there's a repeated, pattern of behavior for this, I think it's an easy call with that. If not, I'm not big into the act of firing one person who has a good track record and a good clean history and punishing them so severely if they just screw up one time. But then again, like this is completely inexcusable. This is for a squib kick to be called. You have to communicate to the kicker and the coverage team. Both of them are equally important, because if the kicker doesn't kick it, you get no squib. If only the kicker knows you have to squib it and the coverage team doesn't, they don't cover, they don't act accordingly. So this is completely inexcusable. It should never happen. It is basic level. I'm still wrestling with it. You add in some of the, special teams issues we've had at times this year. I personally don't think it's completely fireable. I understand that it is, though. The height of the moment, the complete lack of awareness and communication, something that just can't happen. And I think what's even more important of why it can be a fireable offense and why I lean towards this direction as well is, how do you have faith in that coach going forward for any level of execution? That's going to be in the back of your head as a head coach.
Even from the player standpoint, right? Everyone on the kickoff team knew it except the kicker.
Yep.
And how do the players feel? That exactly. Again, this is not the only thing. We're going to talk about the defensive calls, but that right there, it's a great point, man. Like how can you trust that? Again, I do believe you can earn the trust back, but
it's a big mountain to climb. Yeah,
yes,
it's a big moment, and you have to go back and almost re-earn everything, because now the players are going to be like, oh, like he wants us to do this. Well, remember when he couldn't even tell Tyler Bass what was up? Or if you're Sean McDermott, you have to oversee so much of the team. Do you now in the back of your mind have to think, okay, do I need to micromanage special teams? Do I have to make sure that Heath communicates this or Heath does this? Like you shouldn't have to micromanage every single piece if you're the coach now. No, you do not have time. It's already hard enough being a head coach with everything you oversee underneath your purview. And now you have to potentially micromanage a unit that is 1/3 of the game. So it's inexcusable. Can't happen. It is a fireable offense for me. I understand both sides of it. But it's something that's hard to come back from. And I like how you said, though, it's not impossible to come back from it.
Sure.
But you start yourself at the bottom of Mount Everest, and then you have to hit all those base camps on the way back up. And that's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah. And there's some comments in the chat room about, they have had some really good coverage teams. Yes, they've had their special teams has been pretty solid overall. But again, this is a different moment. This is what everything was being built to. And, it's hard to just kind of ignore that and say, hey, he can earn the trust back. Bruce, real quick, what are your thoughts on that? Is that a fireable offense? How would you approach that situation?
I imagine I'll probably get in quite a bit of trouble for this particular take, but I don't think it's a fireable offense. And I'll tell you why I don't think it's a fireable offense. I'm not sure I believe in fireable offenses that are fireable only because of the moment and not because of the offense.
Yep, that's fair.
Because there's two parts of that. There's fireable and offense. And there are some offenses that are so egregious, right, that it doesn't matter when they occur. They are fireable just because of the egregiousness of the offense. You've seen this from coaches who have had criminal allegations against them and players who have had criminal allegations against them and things like that. It doesn't particularly matter. If this happened at the end of the first half, week 3, I don't think it's a fireable offense. The fact that this happened in a huge moment doesn't make the offense worse. It just makes the impact worse. And so for me, if you're going to fire somebody for something like that, there has to be accumulation of a lot of different items, because the only thing that made this particularly egregious was the moment. That's what makes it particularly egregious. If this happens way, way earlier in the year, then it's, oh, wow, that's a flub, dude. Like you need to lock that down, and things like that happen. So for me, when it comes to fireable offense, I think that you'd have to have a lot more than that, especially given the fact Jay Emming in the comments says fireable if there's a pattern of it happening in the fast. Absolutely. And anyone who's ever had employees will tell you that lapses in judgment occur, and particularly lapses in judgment occur at particularly bad times. And if there's a pattern of behavior that indicates future issues like that, then okay, by all means, fireable offense. The Bills are coming off 2 top 10 finishes in Rick Gosselin's special teams rankings. He did oversee Heath Farwell, that is. He did oversee the development, because yes, kickers develop, right? Development of one of the better kickers in the league in Tyler Bass. And so for me, I don't think this particular offense by itself, if it is Farwell, if that is the thing, right? I don't think this by itself qualifies somebody to be fired. And I understand that's not popular, and I understand that everybody wants blood, and that I get it. And I'll pull a Sean McDermott. Y'all can hate me for it. That's fine, right? But I think that if you have a lot of people who have employees, and they'll tell you things like, process over results and things like that, I think that right there is not really it yet. That's just my opinion.
Right. And the thing is, obviously, it's a hyperbolic question. It's really loaded because, again, this is one decision that we know about. All right. And there could have been other ones, like, I don't know, maybe when the Patriots blocked that punt, was it last year, a couple years ago? Like, okay, they showed those same looks and you didn't adjust, and it was blocked in that second game. So there, again, these are things, and I talked up, and that's why I set it up the way I did. That's why I asked, hey, the tenets of being a coach is communication. It's being detail oriented and all those things, because there are a lot of things we don't know about. So yeah, it's hard to say, hey, he's fireable right there. But again, a lot of fans believe, as you talked about at the top of the show, that it is a fireable offense. So I want to get your guys' thoughts on that. So, okay, so a lot of the talk in the chat room was, okay, who cares? You know what? They screwed up the kick. Okay, bye. Let's move past that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the defense. Let's talk about the calls on defense at the end of this game, because that botched communication, that botched kick really set off a series of events.
Trickle down.
It really rattled this staff, all right? It really rattled the staff, and to the point where they almost micromanaged. They almost overcoached the defense late in the game. And I know a lot of people were saying that, the defense didn't play well. They gave a lot of yards. Yeah, you're right. But for the most part, again, the Bills pretty much won the game twice. So I think on that end, yes, they surrendered a lot of yards. They bended a lot, but they did get a few stops when they needed to. And Josh obviously was heroic, as we'll get to. But the situation with 13 seconds left, the Chiefs have multiple timeouts, and they have to drive a lengthy portion of the field. McDermott said that situation was practiced, and I believe it. It's something that, again, a lot of coaches practice, those type of situations and making those stops. But obviously the botch kick really screwed things up, and I want to go over those plays in detail with the film, because it's really the only way to really describe and show you guys visually what the Bills were thinking behind these two calls, and hopefully you guys can see that. So let's start with the first play, and it obviously started off with, both teams lining up, and the teams and McDermott calling a timeout, which I praised him for. I was like, you know what, that's smart. See what they're coming out in. The Chiefs come back out. They come back out in a trips bunch set, as you can see on the screen, to the left of the formation, isolated receiver to the top. And I want to start off with talking about coverages, because a lot of people hear cover 2, Tampa 2, cover 3, cover 4, quarters, yada, yada, yada. And they don't realize within those play designs and play calls, there are tweaks to certain coverages. So on the screen, you're seeing quarters coverage. And on the next play, you're going to see quarters coverage, but it's aligned differently. It's presented differently. And we're going to break it down for you. So this is an adjustment from the Bills' normal quarters coverage. This is called loose quarters, which means it's a formation. It's a coverage that is used primarily on 3rd and long guys. So 3rd and 15, 3rd and 20. We want to keep everything in front of us and make the tackle, not let anyone really get loose, not let anyone get past the first down marker. On this particular play and on loose quarters, again, end of game type scenarios, the coaches usually tell you what depth they want you at based on down and distance. And here you see the underneath defenders. So Edmonds, Milano, Taron Johnson end up at 15 yards. And obviously that depth can change, again, based on the down and distance. And then you see the safeties, they're 25, 30 yards down the field, which a lot of people have issues with, obviously. And again, we're going to get to it. But I want to run the play here. I want you guys to look at what the Chiefs set up here with this bunch set. So Kelce is coming to block Edmonds, and you're having the other receiver going to block Taron Johnson. They're trying to slip right through the alley right here, right past Levi Walls, hopefully getting blocks by Kelce and the other receiver. I can't see his number, and hopefully getting Tyreek Hill one-on-one with Jordan Poyer. But Tremaine Edmonds and Taron Johnson do a good job here. It's pretty good defense from the Bills on this play, and I'll let it run from the other angle as well. But again, I think it's something that a lot of fans have issues with, guys, just because of how loose they are. A lot of people had theories that maybe the Bills thought they were up more than a field goal or whatnot, and there's crazy speculation going on. But I want to keep it to the film here, guys. So Anthony, what were your thoughts on the depth of this play, this loose quarters coverage versus, again, a team that has multiple timeouts, but a team that has to drive down the field to get a field goal to tie it, not a touchdown?
I understand the loose quarters aspect of it and the prevent piece, because with how this game had gone and we'd seen some big plays, and the speed that Kansas City has, and the speed that you do not have on the back end of the defense. I understand with not wanting to get beat over the top and not wanting to get beat in that situation. But the reason I really don't like this is I know they have 3 timeouts and the timing piece of it, but this is just such an easy way for them to get quick yards right off the bat and barely have to burn any time. Like, this sets them up so well right off the bat. And I don't like having 4 down linemen. Appreciate you, Jeff. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jeff.
For the donation. I'll read your comment too. He said, we're all brokenhearted about this, but I witnessed the greatest display of 2 athletes willing their team to a win. That's an awesome comment, Jeff, and I know you got some more there, and it's spot on. You say was I happy with the end result? No, but privileged because of the performance of those 2 athletes. So shout out to you, Jeff, for the donation and the comment. I don't like that there's 4 down linemen rushing here. I don't like, if you're going to go with that prevent nature and you're trying to not get beat over the top, why are you rushing 4? You're not getting that effect of Mahomes anyway. My main issue is it's just free access right off the bat. And I know you cannot get beat over the top, but you can do things from a coverage and alignment perspective to protect yourself over the top while not being so vulnerable underneath, especially against a team that has a kicker with a leg and a half and guys who can get upfield fast, 3 timeouts, and the time. You have to do something to make them try and whittle that clock down, bleed that clock a little bit. Instead, they only use 5 seconds on this play, and they get 19 yards right off the bat. And it's fast, it's effective, it's a good drive starter from a mental perspective.
Yes, it is.
It's again, I know the whole damned if you do, damned if you don't nature of it. And you don't want to get beat over the top. You don't want to give up the big yards, but you still give up a 19-yard gain right off the bat because of how far deep you are. And that old adage, the only thing the prevent defense does is, prevent you from winning. Ha ha ha. But it was just too soft. It was too loose, however we want to go with it. The lack of force up top just gave them too much room to move that quickly and then really get things started and start to have some belief.
Yeah, as Anthony said, it was a good drive starter, and it obviously chewed up a chunk of yards. And you almost got Hill in the alley one-on-one. Good job by Edmonds and Johnson of breaking and destructing.
That's even a good play too. They squeeze that alley a little bit and make the play. There's a chance that Hill could have broken through and maybe he gets past the 50 all in one shot because of how they've set themselves up with their alignment and how far back they are right off the bat. And especially considering how you've played them up until this point, you haven't been beaten deep. Really, the big play you gave up was on the previous drive because Hill gets a slant and man coverage on Levi and houses it. But the Bills didn't give up a lot of big plays. Your regular defense is already preventing the big play. So you don't need to amplify it and put it on steroids and drop everyone back further. Your normal defense, your normal pass first, pass coverage defense already prevents that big play. You don't need to be this loose. You don't need to be this safe.
And Hill, yes, in the back of the coaches' minds, again, they were rattled. Obviously, the kickoff was messed up. They were rattled. They weren't sure exactly what to do in this situation. And obviously, Hill, torched them earlier in the game, but it was more man coverage. You see, there's really good angles here. Everyone is kind of, bottled up. Yes, it's, a good gain. But, Bruce, I want to get your thoughts on this play, this first play of this drive, and how they're able to chew up some yardage here with this coverage.
Well, first off, I never want to go after Anthony ever again because he just stole all of my points.
Well, you sent them to me in that picture, so I just read it off of what you
Well, it's a good thing I have 3 pages of notes for this particular thing because I have other things we got to talk about. Okay, so first off, I think we talk a lot about pressing gaps and closing gaps a lot in the run game. I just think it's ironic that they now have to do it 15 yards down the field. And you could actually argue that Tremaine Edmonds did a really, really good job on this play of squeezing that gap. We talk a lot about squeezing gaps in the run game, and now we have to squeeze it 15, 18 yards down the field in the pass game. So I think that's kind of funny. The other thing I want to point out is that Mario Addison isn't rushing in this play. Mario Addison is spying. This is a play call that you call on 3rd and 20 when 10 yards gets you into field goal range. That's what this play is. It's 3rd and 20 when 10 yards gets you into field goal range. That's the reason why you have a spy. I don't want to spy. Here's why I don't want to spy. If Patrick Mahomes decides to run, he's burning massive amounts of clock when he runs. The fastest way to matriculate the ball down the field is through the air, not on the ground. So if Patrick Mahomes wants to take off and run, he's going to burn 7 of those 13 seconds just getting to the top of his route, getting to the top of his drop, and then deciding he wants to run, and then trying to get outside. And try and get out of bounds to stop the clock, or run straight down the middle, slide and call a timeout. He's going to burn way more time by doing it that way than he would by throwing it to Tyreek Hill, who can quick get a 19 yards, go down, and of course have Andy Reid at the bottom of the screen call timeout immediately. So this is the play call that doesn't line up with the situation. This is a 3rd and 20 play call when 10 yards gets you into field goal range. And you're trying to hedge against a quarterback who gets you into field goal range with the scramble there at the end. But that's not the situation you are in. So it's a good play call, not for this play.
Right. Totally. So we're going to move to the second play here. Again, obviously that play was called, and the Andy Reid's calling the timeout. So now the Chiefs set up on offense, and McDermott calls another timeout, which I actually liked. Again, I know there's video and audio footage of Kelce mentioning that, the play prior to the timeout, that he said, hey, if that's how they're going to play me, I got the seam, which is totally true. And we're going to tell you why this quarter's call really opened up the seam for Kelce here. So you see Kelce to the bottom of the screen there. He's in a nasty alignment, tight to the line of scrimmage. The Chiefs are in a 4-strong formation to the top. So they have 4 eligible receivers to the top of the screen. If you guys remember, Anthony, I know you remember, we did the film room last year of the AFC Championship game. This is the formation that crushed the Bills.
Yep.
And so the Bills want to keep leverage on the amount of numbers that the Chiefs have to the top of the screen. So the Chiefs love flooding zone coverages. They love flooding the Bills' quarters coverage with this 4-strong formation. So the Bills, what they do is they do 4 over 4. So these 4 players right here are pushing to the strength of the passing formation, and that is to the top of the screen. So the spacing is going to be a little different than the last play because, again, there's 4 to the top, isolated Travis Kelce to the bottom. So now you see the spacing between Matt Milano and Levi Wallace open up a little more. Part of that is because of the 4 strong to the top. Part of that is what the coaching staff told Levi Wallace to do based on the coverage. We talked about loose quarters coverage on the last play. This is quarters coverage, but it's called outside quarters. So you see Levi Wallace, rather than playing down in the box, he is in an outside alignment by several yards. You can see him on the numbers where Kelce, he's probably a 4 or 5 yard split from Kelce, horizontally speaking, on the film here. So you can see the different alignment here from Levi Wallace. Now, this is an issue, obviously, from an alignment perspective, from a leverage standpoint. Again, Kelce said he saw it on the prior play to the timeout. Bills came back out in the same exact coverage. But if we flash back, guys, to earlier in the game, in the 3rd quarter, the Chiefs showed this exact coverage against the Bills. 7:56 in the 3rd quarter. This is normal quarters coverage here. This isn't loose quarters. This isn't outside quarters coverage. If the Bills played this coverage, that final play to Kelce would be a lot different. I'll let it roll here, but watch the alignment between and spacing between Milano and Wallace to the top of the screen here. These two guys right here. But also watch what Wallace does here, because what the Bills like to do on 4 strong formations when they're in quarters and a lot of times when they're in 3-by-1 formation is lock the backside of the formation, lock the weak side. So if there was a running back and a tight end, Kelce, to the left on this screen here, to the left of the formation of the Chiefs offense, what they would do is they would lock Milano and lock Levi Wallace on the tight end and running back. Well, again, this is a 4-strong formation, so it's only Levi Wallace locked on Kelce here. And if this were the case with Wallace down near the box, only a 5-yard cushion, getting right into Kelce here, this is a much different play later in the game. All the Bills needed to do was call this coverage. You can see to the top of the screen, here comes Hill screaming over the top, but the safeties have that covered just fine. They have that bracketed. So if this was called later, it's a whole different ball game, especially when we talk about from the rush standpoint, Mario Addison and Jerry Hughes. So I'm going to let this play here. Again, look at the spacing between Milano and Levi Wallace here, and it's just an easy entry into the seam, which would not be the case if Levi Wallace was playing normal quarters and locked in man-to-man on Travis Kelce.
That's really what it is there. You see how much space he has. You see the outside leverage from Levi and the space that Travis Kelce has to work. And it's so tough because all these plays, we said the trickle down, and all these plays compounded, with one another and added up to what it is. But this one is just so egregious for me. From the end zone angle here, pause it. You can't even see Levi.
Nope.
That's how outside he is. And this one gets me from, obviously you could complete this short, like an out route or, some kind of speed out and, get some yards with it. But you don't need to protect the sideline whatsoever because they still have 2 timeouts. So who cares if he gets out of bounds? You need to protect depth at this point rather than you do the width. And I know maybe, if you get something wide and you can get upfield with it, I understand that point. But this is just too easy. Do anything. Chip Travis Kelce. Line up, impress man like you did earlier in the game. Travis Kelce is not a vertical threat to that degree. Levi can handle that. Give him a 5-yard cushion or a 6-yard cushion. Make him have to work. Do anything to make Mahomes have to sit and find a man, sit and have to think about this. We see Jerry Hughes just coming in. He's almost got the sack. Look how close he is to Mahomes there. If Kelce is rerouted or not absolutely wide open, there's a good chance, I don't want to say that it's a guaranteed sack because maybe Mahomes looks somewhere else. Maybe he escapes the pocket. He did it all game. But Jerry Hughes is so close to a sack there. And what gets me with this, it's the same as you had it from the play before. Both of these plays on this drive were snap, 1-2. Oh, okay, throw the ball. No wasted motion, no extra patting of the ball, no extra hitches, no extra hop steps, no extra nothing, no
disruption,
nothing,
right? There's no disruption of rhythm there for the quarterback, no getting a piece of Kelce. No. I just think, and you see as Hughes gets close there, I think if Levi Wallace is in the pocket with Kelce at this point in a normal quarters coverage versus 4-strong look, this is going to be a much different play. I don't even know if Mahomes is going to throw it to him. I think
that's exactly it.
He's going to work the other side of the field. So, Bruce, I want to get your thoughts on this play and their approach defensively, because it's one that obviously a lot of fans are pissed off about from the top. So outside quarters, a really soft call coming out of that timeout. Kelce called it. I mean, heady play by him, and kudos to him. But this was just a failure by the coaching staff, right?
After watching the previous play, I thought Mario Addison was going to redirect Travis Kelce here and go to spy.
Yes.
That's what I thought was going to happen. I thought that was the reason why
Levi
Wallace. Yeah, that's the reason why I thought Levi Wallace was so far outside. I thought that Mario Addison was going to redirect Travis Kelce right there.
Obata, but...
Is it?
Yeah, that's Obata. Addison's
okay.
Top.
My bad. So that player was going to, I thought he was going to redirect Travis Kelce.
Same.
After watching Mario Addison spy on the last one, I thought, oh, well, that's clearly what they're doing then. They're going to steer Travis Kelce into Levi Wallace. Yes. I can't even see the numbers.
You can see him peek over to Kelce a couple times too. So
so right here, if you freeze it right here, it looks right there. Right there, it looks like, okay, he's going to redirect Travis Kelce into Levi Wallace. And that's the reason why you see the outside leverage. Because on the previous play, I had seen Mario Addison as a spy. I said, okay, well, clearly they care about that. Now, they shouldn't, but they do. So what I'm going to see here is I'm going to see Obata jam Kelce really bad, direct him toward Levi Wallace, and then I'm going to see him float toward the middle of the rush. You're going to see a 2-man rush plus a spy, and you're going to try to force Patrick Mahomes to burn time. That's the point. I want you to burn time. Listen, if you find a wide open receiver 9 seconds in, it doesn't matter. It's too late. Hold the ball all day if you want to. I don't care. But I thought that based on what I had seen the previous play, that I was going to see that from F.A. Obata and also Levi Wallace. And when I didn't see it, I said, okay, so the outside leverage made a lot of sense until that didn't happen to me. Yes, it was F.A. Obata. So it made a lot of sense to me until that didn't happen. Because I was trying to connect, okay, what are they trying to accomplish here? Because every defense gives you something. There is no defense in the world that's not going to give you something. And what you want to do is you want to invite the offense to do the thing that is least beneficial to them. So this is the reason why you see people protecting the sidelines during a 2-minute drill when they don't have any timeouts, because you want to invite them to do the thing that is the least beneficial thing for them. Right. So what I saw from the first play and the spy was, okay, I disagree with the fact that they're spying Patrick Mahomes. I'd like to see a 3-man rush and put another defensive back there, but I understand at least what they're doing. But it doesn't jive with the strategy literally the next play.
Yeah.
So for me, I got done a little bit. I felt like it was an office space. I say, okay, so what would you say you
do exactly?
Right? like, where are we going with this exactly? Because it seemed to me like it wasn't particularly cogent between the two plays as far as, okay, here's the strategy, right? We have a strategy for this 13 seconds, and here's what we're going to do. We're going to invite X, Y, and Z, and we're going to turn off A, B, and C. But those two things changed play to play. So I was just kind of throwing my hands up in the air. I put my hands on my head. I looked over at my wife. She goes, what? I said, I don't know what they're doing. I don't see the plan. And I thought maybe if I looked back at it later, I would see it. And I didn't.
Yeah, like I said, I think it could have just been avoided if they didn't overcoach it. Just call that quarters coverage. It worked earlier in the game on 3rd and long. That was a 3rd and 18 play that we flashed back to a 3rd and long. You didn't need to play loose. You didn't need to play outside quarters. Play your normal quarters coverage where you're getting your hands on Kelce, specifically against this formation. And really, you played it really well for most of the day. A lot of the bigger plays came in the underneath area, and then again, yak yardage. So I just think they overcoached it and they tensed up. They got a little too tense there. And again, I think that goes back to the miscommunication of the kick leading into that entire sequence. It just threw off the entire vibe of the coaching staff. They somehow weren't able to adjust even after using 2 timeouts, and it cost the Bills the game. So with that said, I hope you guys appreciated that portion of the film room, that breakdown. We went a little longer than we actually wanted to, but it's very important to kind of rip off the Band-Aid and discuss and analyze the film on what transpired at the end of the game. Now, with the bad out of the way, let's get to the good, because as someone said in the chat room, there was a shootout between Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. So we're going to flip to the offensive side of the ball, and we're going to break down some plays on the Bills offense. I called this episode Josh Allen from hero ball to heroics. And yes, he didn't win the game. I get it. But I feel like that draft class of quarterbacks, the Lamar Jacksons, Baker Mayfields, Darnold, Josh Allen, and others really taught a lot to us, especially myself. I'll say personally that quarterback class taught me a lot about evaluation, what things matter, what things don't matter, how the game is changing, and how I should adjust my evaluation of quarterbacks. And Josh Allen, I mean, he is the outlier of outliers. And so he really taught us a lot, especially Bills fans, because, we're able to watch him every day and see some of the practice footage and hear him every day when it comes to his play and development and progress. So I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on that hero ball mentality. And it's funny because that knock on Josh Allen was, he tries doing too much. He does that hero ball mentality comes out, but it's really a lot of those traits that were a knock on him. Those hero ball traits are really the things that drive him as a player and his development, his progress. But more importantly, when he gets on that field, his will to win is unmatched. And we saw that against the Chiefs this past weekend. So And I'll throw it to you first, man. What are some adjectives that come out when you talk about hero ball, and maybe some of the knocks on Josh Allen that were knocks at the time, but now some of those boneheaded, mistakes that he was making early on in his career have kind of dissipated a little bit. And now those negatives are kind of becoming positives, right?
Yeah, I think for me to put it into one, I don't have like a ton of words. I have one phrase when it goes with the hero ball piece, right? And it's usually accompanied with like trying to do too much. You're trying to make something out of nothing. You're trying to make something happen that's not there, so on and so forth. And we've seen it work negatively or against Josh Allen, even at points this year, right? But this game was when he was trying too much, everything was working. You're seeing him make guys miss in the pocket because he's trying so hard to just get a first down. You're seeing him try so hard to scramble and keep his eyes downfield and make these plays. And none of that hero ball stuff. Hero ball always it has a negative connotation. Just like in basketball, someone's trying to go too hard and make things about them one-on-one. They're chucking up jumpers. They're missing. This guy's trying to play hero ball, so on and so forth. It's got a negative connotation. And the reason we use that title in this episode is because what he did in this game, when you start to do that hero ball stuff, right, but it works, it goes from being hero ball to just you being a hero and just heroic. And that's what Josh Allen was in this game, whether it was with his legs, whether it was with his arm. Everything he did just seemed he was relentless. He would not stop. He kept coming and coming and coming and going after you no matter what. You could not stop him. And I think that is the biggest thing, those intangibles. And it was talked about a little when he came out in the draft, right? It was, he's got a chip on his shoulder, but a lot of it was, well, he's big, he's got this rocket arm. And then in his rookie year, it was like he can move a little bit. At this point, for me, his most impressive attribute and the most important thing is his relentless drive to be the best and to win. That's the reason he improved his footwork in the pocket. That's the reason he's progressed with the mental side of the game. That's the reason he's throwing more with his hips and get more rotation into his throws. That's the reason he's able to change arm angles and do everything that he does. And this game was a microcosm and encapsulation of that drive and that relentless desire that he has. And those hero ball moments turn into pure, heroics in this game. And it's a shame we can't go back and, really fully appreciate them. Well, at least for me, because this game makes me want to throw up and put my head into a pillow and cry forever. But he just had moments where it really was just heroic. He made plays where it was like, well, this play's done. And then it was like, no, I'm going to take care of it. And he took care of it all on his own. And it was truly breathtaking. We've got a lot of them to go through tonight and just really show how awesome he was. But he was a hero in this game, and it was really something to behold. He put himself on the map. If he wasn't already, he firmly stamped his name on the map with this one.
Yeah, he won over a lot of people on social media, from what I could see, that really doubted him from the get-go and really doubted his progress, even doubted him so much to say that maybe last year was a fluke. So, Bruce, when we were prepping for this show, I know it was a last-minute thing. I asked Bruce today, as the day started this morning, right before work, if he wanted to join us in the film room. So, but of course, he's a professional. He prepped and he got like 6 pages worth of notes to go over here in our film room.
And he shared them with us.
Yeah. And he made a very good point about, the hero ball, the heroics type title. He called it the other side of hero ball. And what did you mean by that, Bruce? And really explain to fans and listeners here about, what you thought about Josh Allen's progress and how he played against the Chiefs and really, again, how a lot of those knocks really led him to have one of his best games.
The phrase hero ball, like Anthony talked about, is historically used with a negative connotation. And what that means is that when someone says hero ball, they're talking about the will to be a hero, what they're attempting to achieve. What they don't take into consideration is the other side of hero ball. And the other side of hero ball is the traits to be a hero. So you can have all the will and you want to be a hero, and that's great. Jake Fromm can have the will to play hero ball. The man is not blessed to be a hero. Listen, if I go outside right now and decide that I'm going to fight crime, and I'm going to walk up to a person robbing a bank, and I'm going to hold my hand out, and I'm going to say, you need to stop. And he shoots me and I die. And I go, what happened? I died. Because I'm not Superman. That's the way it works. So you can have all the will in the world to be a hero, but you need the traits to be a hero to actually pull it off. And so when we use the phrase hero ball, we say, okay, here's what he is attempting to do. And that's great. Awesome. Be a hero. We're going to talk about a play later on where I think that Josh Allen decided he was going to make a play and he was going to be a hero before the need even arose for him to do so.
Yes, no
but
doubt.
That doesn't really matter. What your will by itself is not relevant. Your intent by itself is not relevant, because if you don't have the capacity and the talent to actually do it, if you do not have the traits of a hero, then your hero will is completely irrelevant. If I'm not indestructible, me deciding that I'm going to go take a bullet doesn't really matter. I'm dead. But if I'm Superman, then all of a sudden it matters. And that's the difference between Josh Allen hero ball and other people's hero ball, is that he has the traits to back it up. It's a little bit like, talking the talk and, walking the walk. It's the same thing. So I think what we've learned is that hero ball isn't necessarily a bad thing if you have the traits to pull it off. Mm-hmm. And Josh Allen does. And there's plenty of people out there on planet Earth who do not have the traits to pull it off. Mm-hmm. And so the thing for me is that what we're seeing Superman. We're seeing someone who has the will to pull off hero ball and has the traits to actually pull off hero ball.
Yeah, last year in our film room, Bruce and I, we talked about traits give you options, and we're seeing those traits match up with this comment here. Autumn RE says, I think the difference between hero ball and heroics is confidence. When Josh hero balls, he seems panicked. Those same things with confidence makes all the difference. He wasn't panicked. He knew. And my point behind that is, over time, the more experience that he's had on how, defenses are defending him and the coverages, how, more importantly, the rushes in front of him, and the more he's seen over the years, the more comfortable he's become in executing those hero ball type traits of, again, maybe exiting the pocket a half a click too soon, but then making several guys miss and, throwing a ball down the field for an explosive player touchdown. Like, last year to Dawson Knox against the Chiefs, or converting a 4th and 4 when really he just basically said, I'm going to pull it down and I'm going to get outside the pocket and make
that one is unreal. We're going to show it tonight. That one is ridiculous.
Yeah. So I think as he's seen more experience and how teams are going to rush him, I think his play speed has gotten better. And again, coming from Wyoming over the years, now progressing in Buffalo's scheme, his comfort in the scheme with Dable over the years, I think that has made a big difference and allows not just the traits to shine through, but from the shoulders up as well. And, hey, I got a soft edge. I can take it and I can win with it. And so with that said, guys, let's jump into the film here. The first play we're going to look at, and it's one of those things. Bruce talked about the traits. Like, he doesn't just have the big arm, he's not just a big guy, but he can run. He actually is quite elusive for a quarterback. And the Bills late in the year, Dable late in the year, did not shy away from it. This is a 3rd and 1 play, a play where those traits by Josh Allen allowed him to play above the scheme. It's an RPO. You have a power run by Motor Singletary with Bates pulling, and just a little flat or diagonal route by Dawson Knox releasing to the top of the screen. Josh Allen reads the end guy on the line of scrimmage. He crashes on Singletary. Josh pulls it, and honestly, Thornhill has him dead to rights. But again, Josh, as they said in the broadcast, is much bigger than him. He basically walks through that tackle from Thornhill. But Bruce, I want you to talk about this play from the end zone angle. Again, here's the read guy. 97's the read. He crashes on the running back, and Josh, with a little pump fake out the Knox, is able to freeze Thornhill and get north and south for the first down.
So the concept of package plays really came into the NFL consciousness anyway when Chip Kelly came in. Obviously, it's been a part of the league for a while. It's been part of college football for a much longer time. But the concept of package plays is usually revolving around 2 or more individual binaries that happen back to back. So the first binary, of course, is the read guy. It's the zone read part of this. The second one is you can read Knox's man defender, and if the man defender crashes down, you can throw it to Dawson Knox and have him turn the corner. And that's great. And that's all part of the inside of the X's and O's. That is the play as designed. The thing that makes Josh Allen in this play go above and beyond the X's and O's is the pump fake that holds the rushing lane open for a smidge longer. And that's the difference between this play getting 2 and this play getting 12. That's it right there. So he's going to go ahead and read 97 the way that the play is designed. All of it, again, within the scope of the play. Read 97, crash down, pull. Great. Now, right now, when he decides he's going to pump fake, That is him deciding to play beyond the X's and O's because he doesn't have to do that. That's not built into the play for the vast majority of quarterbacks to be able to do this. But he needs to be able to hold Thornhill to be able to keep that window open just long enough, because the Thornhill doesn't get frozen by the pump fake. He crashes down, probably takes out his knees right now, and this ends up being a 2-yard gain. But this is an example of a packaged play that does what it's supposed to do to create the necessary window. However, Josh Allen playing beyond the X's and O's is allowing him to pick up an additional 12 yards. And this is where those little tiny traits, the ability to go beyond what is blocked, the ability to go beyond what is schemed, can help you pick up extra yards and make additional plays.
No doubt about it, man. It's again, the Josh Allen was used a lot in these short yardage situations, as we said at the top, a lot, not just in this game, and you're going to see a few more, obviously, later in the game. But here's another RPO type play here. It's a drive starter here, and RPOs. We talked about a few weeks ago. Anthony and I did. We talked about how RPOs are an extension of the run game. Yes, you're getting the wide zone run here from Singletary. With the pin and pull run here with Singletary. You're getting the pullers, which the Bills have run really well over the last few weeks. But it really comes down to Josh reading that middle linebacker right here. And then just the throw, Anthony. I want you to talk about how he is able to thread it in there past Snead over the middle. Just an incredible throw down the middle of the field. Again, this was a drive starter. So this is a type of play leading into half. I think it was just under the 2-minute warning here. Bills needed a good drive starter, and what better way than to use an RPO to get your offense a positive advantage in the numbers game, and then look at the way that Allen threads this past Snead to Cole Beasley.
I love that this play comes in this episode for us, comes after the previous play that you just showed, where Josh's athleticism basically makes like almost a triple option look, where he can either give it to Singletary or give it to Knox or keep it himself. It gives you like 3 options. And now we come back on this next play, and this one is just pure arm talent. And before we even get to that, one, we've talked about it so much, why we like the run game and why a successful run game helps. Look at the second level defenders that get sucked in by that run action from Josh Allen and Devin Singletary in the backfield. 56 vacates a spot. He comes forward, and you just get an absolute laser from Josh Allen to Cole Beasley. Beasley runs a good route, but Snead recovers. Like this isn't a wide open window. This isn't a guaranteed throw. I wouldn't say this is a high percentage throw. Josh threads the needle, puts it right on Beasley perfectly. And I say that non-hyperbolic at all. Perfectly in stride to Cole Beasley. He sidearm slings it. This is one that bothered me a little bit too. I know Mahomes threw that one sidearm around Gregory Rousseau earlier in the game, and everybody wanted to break the internet because of how amazing it was, and Tony Romo talked about it, and everybody and their mom talked about it. Josh Allen sidearm slings the hell out of this. Oh, Patton, thank you so much for the donation, and comment is awesome too. In this game, I don't think it's too hyperbolic to say he showed the brain of Manning, arm of Elway, elusiveness of Young, and the ice of Brady. Amazing. You know what? I don't think that's hyperbolic at all. Josh showed moments and glimpses of all of those quarterbacks because that's how great of a game that he had. This throw is ridiculous. Erik and I, we've said it so many times in previous episodes that people thought we were being negative. This throw is stupid.
Yeah,
this throw shouldn't happen. Snead is there. He's in good, honestly, like he recovers well. Look at his hand is right there. He is inches away. And Josh puts it, threads the eye of the needle, sidearm, perfectly in stride to Cole Beasley. You get yards after catch in 2 ways. One, you put the ball in the hands of someone who's electric and can make things happen on his own. Or 2, you hit your receivers perfectly in stride so they don't have to break rhythm and they just keep going. That's what that one was. Beasley does a good job after, but that's arm talent, that's accuracy, that's technique. A lot of things that people said Josh Allen would never be able to do in this NFL. And man, that throw is gorgeous.
Right. So we fast forward a little bit, still in the second quarter here, 1st and 10 situation. Bills are down 14-7, ball on the 38-yard line. And I mean, you got to think about the confidence that the Bills have in Josh Allen here. So the ball's on the 38-yard line, but as you can see, They have 3 timeouts. So really the playbook's open here as they crossed the midfield here. Dable called several pin and pull runs on this drive. And this is the first one, again, in that 2-minute drill, and just the confidence you have in Josh Allen, the faith. You hear Dable always talking about the faith he has in Josh Allen here. But more importantly, the faith that they've had in Dawson Knox off the right side here on executing those down or pin blocks at the point of attack. Watch the reach block by Ryan Bates, who I highlighted there. The quickness on Chris Jones to execute that is just ridiculous and sick there. So the faith in not just Josh Allen, but really Dawson Knox to set that alley, allowing Josh to get outside there, Bruce. Again, this is not something that every team can do, but when you have a quarterback like Josh Allen and you have a big game like this, everything is fair game, right?
Trades give you options, right?
Yep.
But I think one of the things that was interesting about the very end of this play is that, remember Josh Allen's fumbling problems? If you watch what he does when he's getting close to contact here, he's covering up the ball. But there is also a level of play calling nuance that I want to point out here, because this is the second of all of the plays that we were planning on looking at that are pin and pulls with Isaiah McKenzie in the backfield. And one of the things that we've talked about a lot in the offseason is the addition of speed to the Buffalo Bills backfield. And one of the things this allows you to do is that earlier in the game, there was a play where Jaron Reed flat out got held by Isaiah McKenzie's backside motion. And if he doesn't get held by that speed that's coming off the backside, if he doesn't have to at least respect the idea that Isaiah McKenzie could take the ball, then he probably tackles Allen for a 2-yard loss. In this case, you're able to kind of hold those backside defenders that need to be held just enough to allow Ryan Bates to get out in front of Chris Jones, and so on and so forth. So there's nuances to play calling and play design that show up a lot with pin and pull stuff. I think one of the reasons you saw Isaiah McKenzie in the backfield for a lot of these plays is specifically for that reason, because there isn't a speed threat where you really have to, okay, we just got to make sure we confirm. Let's just make sure he doesn't have the ball, because we're going to look really embarrassed if he has the ball and he turns the corner on us and gets 25 yards. Whereas with Devin Singletary later on in the game, you'll see Devin Singletary wasn't used in that same capacity at all. He was used as a lead blocker.
Yeah.
So I think that this highlights how you can use Allen in multiple different ways, but add different layers on it based on who is in the backfield with him. And Allen is a good runner. We all know this, but it's not about 40 speed. Everyone seems to think it's about 40 speed with Allen. It's not. It's about his ability to be able to have the vision of a runner in this moments where you need to have vision as a runner. And so all these things are highlighted by just one play.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And on the very next play, 2nd and 1 situation, 49 seconds on the clock, you see McKenzie motion across. They basically run it back, but as you just said, they use Motor Singletary. Again, another guy that really earned the trust of the staff and Brian Dable and Sean McDermott. He helps lead on this play. And this is, again, Josh with the will to win, whether it's just this down or this drive or this game. He just is not going to be stopped here. You get the blocks again at the point of attack by the tight end, Knox, and then you're getting Mitch Morse, Bates pulling. But I want you to also pay attention to, as I highlighted here, I want you to watch Spencer Brown on the backside of that, working towards a linebacker here as they scrape down the line of scrimmage. It's just so pretty. It's something, this is our favorite play, Anthony and I's favorite play, these pin and pull runs, especially when you incorporate the quarterback here. You see Morse pick up Clark. Here comes Singletary going down on Sorensen and taking him down. And then Josh, just clearing over Singletary as he's running full speed. But then again, look at Spencer Brown staying in the play, his athleticism on the backside of these pin and pulls. And even on those outside zone runs away from him, he's able to get to the linebacker and get a piece of him in case the running back or quarterback in this situation wants to cut it back. And Josh wants to cut it back, and he wants to do it with style. He wants to add a spin move on this play to obviously move the chains here and get out of bounds. Just another incredible play from Josh Allen, another play where they had faith in him, right, Anthony?
Yeah, and the athleticism for this, we'll start with Spencer Brown's. This is why you draft Spencer Brown. This is why relative athletic score is important coming out of the draft. His ability to get to the second level here. And for someone who I feel like people might see this and be like, yeah, but like Josh still has to make that guy miss. Spencer Brown heavily influences this play because of his ability to get to the second level and not allow 56 to be able to break down and make a play here. He's got to play off of Spencer Brown influencing him, changing that leverage, changing the angle in which he goes after Josh Allen. You see him like he so fluidly gets to that second level, and you've drawn it there. You know, he gets hands on him, influences him, and then Allen again. I mean, we're going to fawn all over Josh Allen in the back half of this episode like we are, but the ability to leap over garbage and then as you're landing, have the wherewithal and athleticism to then turn that landing into a spin move. And then that's what he does. He lands and then spins, breaks through. Like this is Air Jordan
athleticism.
Spin.
That's nuts.
That's nuts. Like to have the wherewithal to do it and the athleticism to pull it off is tremendous. And when you got a QB like that, use him. Josh Allen's a weapon in multiple forms, and then he gets strong. And then also the mental, again, get out of bounds, make sure the clock stops. Just beautiful play from Allen and the athleticism from Brown. And I know you touched on it. Nice physical blocks from Morse and Singletary. The play before that you showed with Josh running, Singletary also had a really nice block on Sorensen. His ability to block out in space has been something, but now we're seeing a little more physicality to his game and a little more grit. Morse and Singletary bury their men right there at the line of scrimmage. That is just, these guys are going to go low. Okay, cool. Punish them.
Isn't that a penalty too?
The ground.
Isn't that a penalty?
I was one. So, you know, what's funny is I have it in my notes and I didn't want to get too off track. I don't know if it's too far outside the box or too far deep. I thought it could be because you can't go low.
Back. They look back at, I think Mitch Morse looks back and like, hey, where's the call?
He puts his hands up. He puts his hands up there like, dude, they can't go low anymore. You can't cut block like that. So maybe the refs either missed it or maybe it was outside. I think it's 2 yards outside the tight end and 2 yards deep. So maybe it was far enough outside, which is what I'm guessing the reason is. But either way, Morse and Singletary finished their guys. That's even more impressive then, right? Because now in today's NFL, you're not expecting defenders to be able to do that to you. So the fact that they're able to adjust on the fly, put him in the dirt, Josh does the rest. Again, a nice continued succession of play calls to take advantage of the weapon that you have at quarterback and just, really being able to do good stuff. And I love it. And it also makes me sad.
I know. So we're going to move on to the next play, back-to-back pin and pull runs with the quarterback there. But I wanted to get to some of the pass game stuff from Josh Allen here. Again, same drive, 42 seconds left. Bills are down 14-7, ball on the 18-yard line. This is the completion to Gabriel Davis. Davis to the bottom of the screen, basically run into the middle of the field, which is wide open because of the zero blitz called by the Chiefs here. So here's the formation here and route concepts. You see Davis heading to the post. Cole Beasley is running like a return route or over the middle. And to the top, it's just a Hoss concept. So you have a stop route from Diggs, who's the number one up top. And then you have Dawson Knox working the seam there. And as you can see, the safety right here is capping this linebacker. You see this guy's trying to sell like it's man coverage. It's pretty obvious. That's one of the things when you're watching film is a safety being capped, is a nickel being capped, is a linebacker being capped. That's usually a clue that there is some type of pressure coming. You see all these guys down in the box. They are showing pressure. They end up coming. When you have a zero blitz, Bruce, middle of the field, over the middle, that's where you want to attack. Josh is able to extend this play, kind of backpedals as long as he can, then throws a nice high point ball to Gabriel Davis. You see the two Chiefs defensive backs, Clyde Snead, I believe, kind of grabbed the hip of his teammate right there just to kind of hold his balance so he could turn with Beasley over the middle. But middle of the field, open versus zero blitz, high point throw, under pressure, just incredible stuff from Josh Allen, Bruce.
Playing against cover zero requires more knowledge of the play design and more anticipation to make it work. It's the reason why you see defenses blitz the ever-living bejeezies out of young and rookie quarterbacks. You blitz them until they prove they can beat it. Oftentimes, you don't get the luxury of seeing a player open before you throw it. against cover zero. That's just the way it is. So you have to know what you're seeing. You have to understand the route concepts really well. It's where trust comes into play. And one of the things we've seen from Josh Allen is that the chemistry with Emmanuel Sanders was just never quite the same as it is with Gabriel Davis. Josh Allen trusts that Gabriel Davis is going to be there. Gabriel Davis is not open when Josh Allen throws this ball. He looks like he might become open when Josh Allen throws this ball, but Josh Allen throws the ball right now. Go back just a little bit. And when you see it right here, okay, he made the decision. We don't know that 21's stumbling yet. Now we know he's stumbling, but the decision has already been made for him to throw it. And Josh Allen believes that cover zero means middle of field open. And he knows that he's got two potential outlooks here. We've got Dawson Knox and we've got Gabriel Davis. And he trusts that if he puts this ball in a specific location, that you're going to be able to get it. And that's really what beating blitz is about. It's about understanding locations, understanding route concepts. And okay, I know that this guy is going to be in this location at this time. I may not be able to see it, and I may not have the luxury of waiting to see if he breaks open and then deciding that he was going to throw the ball. Because that was a discussion with Josh Allen coming out, was because he has these massive physical gifts and this huge arm, does he ever develop the anticipatory traits that he doesn't really need to in a lot of cases because he has a massive arm? And the book on Josh Allen early in his career was cover one, cover zero, blitz the living bejesus out of him. That's what you do. Well, guess what? That's not going to work either, because now he has the anticipatory traits to be able to pair with the fact that he has an absolute cannon attached to his right shoulder. So what this is the final ending to the book of, well, there's just this thing that you do against Josh Allen. This one thing that you do. I'm just going to drop this book. I'm going to spread it out. I'm going to sell it to all the defensive coordinators. And the book is called How to Beat Josh Allen. There isn't one thing, because you have the physical traits like we've talked about before. This is a good throw, but it's not a physically dominant throw that we've seen before. This is a mentally dominant throw. And that's the thing that makes it different than some of the other stuff we're looking at. Yeah,
no doubt, man. I mean, early in his career, Anthony, I mean, when he sees this pressure, when he sees 56 coming right down the pike, I mean, in prior years, what's Josh Allen probably going to do? He's going to probably turn his back and try to escape out this way, or even front side. As Bruce said, this is a play that really was won with anticipation, the trust in Gabriel Davis, but really from the shoulders up. He knew, the pressure was coming. He is able to extend it just long enough in the pocket. And then Anthony, the mechanics, right? Look at him kind of elevate and flip those hips so that he can not only place it where he wants to accurately, which is a high point throw, so that even if Gabriel Davis had that guy in his pocket, that's one thing that Gabriel Davis has more so than the other receivers, right, Anthony? That size.
Yeah, that ability to to get up and get it, but he's also got like a thick frame. He's able to box out defenders, use his arm length and like thickness in his upper body and frame overall to be able to separate. And you hit it with Allen, like it's so many things in one. The ability physically to be able to open up and allow his body to get through that throw to really make sure he can get through it and get it to Gabriel Davis. But like Bruce said, the mental dominance, right? The composure, the calmness, okay, everybody's bearing down on me. That's okay. Oh, I see where this is. Bang. He's got pressure right in his face. He knows he's going to get hit. He knows he has to change the way he's going to throw this ball because he has to be able to get it around or over the defenders who are literally right in his face as he's making this throw. It is composure. It is just, it's so beautiful. And it may seem simple or easy because Gabriel Davis ends up being wide open here. But this is a throw where, especially again, from a coordinator like Steve Spagnuolo, who's trying to confuse you and bring different looks and change different schemes and pressures and all these things. He's doing it to keep you off balance. And in this game, Josh had answers time and time again. This is an example of that. Them bringing this cover zero blitz in this moment. Josh stays calm. He keeps his mechanics. That's the piece of it too, right? It's easy to keep your mechanics when you got time and you got a pocket. Everything's nice and clean and easy. It's harder to keep your mechanics when everything's stressful and chaotic. Josh keeps them enough to be able to put this throw in a good spot. Look at him, just the height, the arm angle. I don't know if he gets it over the arms of 56 or like over and through a little bit. The arms there, that's the advantage of having a big, tall quarterback with that kind of release angle and release point. But puts it on the money, allows Gabe to go up and get it, and shows the composure to execute it. Just a really good example of how Josh can be physically, but also mentally at the same time.
Yeah, and obviously that was a big touchdown going in a half. I mean, that was
Huge.
That was huge. And so we flash forward to the third quarter here, 2:06 on the clock, 1st and 10 situation. Now the Bills are down 23-14 here, and this is when that pressure on Josh Allen started ratcheting up. And what do they do?
The Bills also just came out of a 3-and-out from this to start on their first possession. So it was even more so like, oh my God, are they pulling away from us? Just wanted to put that out there to frame this moment because it makes it even better.
Absolutely. It just one of those plays in the game where for most of the time they were, close as far as the scoreboard goes. And then this is when that pressure started ratcheting up for Josh Allen, especially when you're talking, hey, the fourth quarter's on the horizon. This is the 75-yard touchdown to Gabriel Davis on a Mills concept. So you have the post from Davis to the top. You have an in-breaking route from Dawson Knox. Diggs running a deep curl to the bottom of the screen and just poise in the pocket here. Great eye manipulation, but the throw was just sublime from right around the 17, 16-yard line all the way down to the Chiefs plus, 30 or 26-yard line. Right over the outreached hand of Thornhill. And it just another great throw.
This is like the throw you throw on your pro day just to show how far you can sling it and throw a deep one. Like that's what this is like. And he nails it in a real game.
Yeah. This is quarters coverage. So this safety opens up and you see him probably looking at Knox right here. And yes, Josh Allen could have taken this, but he's reading the hip leverage of this safety right here. Thornhill, he knows, and Gabriel Davis is what we call sneaky fast. And you guys remember that footage of Joe Shine and Brandon Bean hoping that he would not run as well at the combine. And he has always done this since he entered the league. Even back at UCF, he always got behind coverages regardless of what his straight line speed was. His play speed is on point here. The throw was in stride. It's something Gabriel Davis and Josh Allen have done since, again, Davis came in the league, those deep ball throws and red zone roll. But Bruce, I want you to talk about this play from Josh Allen. Mills concept, play action pass, great eye manipulation, and pushing the ball down the field.
You're supposed to go to the in-breaking route on a Mills concept against 2-eye. Like you're supposed to. That's what you're supposed to do. And that's exactly what presented itself. Seth Galina from PFF said, well, let's take you through this stuff. Bad quarterbacks throw it to Stephon Diggs at the bottom, even though there's two men down there. Good quarterbacks take Dawson Knox over the middle. Goblin quarterbacks, he says, throw it deep to Gabriel Davis. And that's what I wrote. What I write down is this is not supposed to work. Like that's not what's supposed to happen. You shouldn't have the safety declare that he is going to take Gabriel Davis here and he's not going to come down and slice across Dawson Knox, right? He's not going to do those things and still make that throw. You're just not supposed to do it. But again, traits give you options. You can pull off things that you're not necessarily supposed to pull off when you have the arm talent that you have. And I think that this is a matter of Josh Allen reading things high to low and understanding that he can make that throw. Whereas I think that previously in his career, he would get off of that throw. He would not throw it. He would get off of it. By the time he gets off of it, now Dawson Knox is covered up again, and he has to scramble around and jumpstart the scramble drill. Now he's making that decision and pulling the trigger on the high throws. And if he doesn't, he's making the decision quickly and getting to the throws that are still valuable options. I think this is as much of a mental processing thing as it is a physical processing thing, because we saw stuff like this earlier in his career that didn't go this way.
Anthony, what do you have to add to this play here?
I wish you could take like a GIF or a video and hang it in like a fancy museum and it would play on loop for forever, because that's what I would do with this one. I just, the throw is picture perfect. The pocket is beautiful. Look at Josh has time to throw. He's got a beautiful straight line window right in front of him to be able to see. And I also love, if you show it from the end zone angle, he looks left initially with this, and then he starts to look over the middle a little bit with Knox. I think just enough to make Thorne think, Okay, see, he looks left, and then he's looking in the center a little bit.
Mhm.
And I feel like he's trying to hold Thorne a little bit just to make Thorne think, okay, do I got to come up on Knox? Because if you see, we saw from the previous sideline angle, Thorne is trying to play both. He's trying to be like, okay, let me stay on top of Knox, but also be able to lend support on this deep route. And just that little bit of hesitation from Juan Thornhill right there causes him to not stay in his back pedal, not get vertical enough. It allows Gabriel Davis to just blow right by him because the corner is expecting, because this is quarters coverage, he's expecting some kind of help in the middle of that field, right?
Yeah.
He's expecting like, okay, he's going deep on this post. It's cool. I've got two safeties there, but I know I've got Thornhill, but Thornhill is a little occupied by Knox on that over. So it's a good play design. It's a good concept. It's a good job by Josh reading it, holding a little bit. And because look at Thornhill almost makes that play. His arms he's outstretched. He's just not there. And the reason he's not there is because he's held up by Josh's eyes and body language and that over from Dawson Knox.
Yeah.
And Gabriel Davis with that sneaky speed again. You're highlighting Knox on that over. Thornhill is basically the conflict defender right here. He has to honor.
Yeah, no doubt. And this is exactly where he opened his hips, and he's flat-footed. And I think literally, I look at Josh where he's looking right now. I think he read the body language of him. And Gabriel Davis is at top speed. He's 3 yards away from him. That's pretty much even. You're leaving with your hips open like that. And again, normally, your post route is going to be a little tighter right here, maybe even cross the face of that safety. But because Gabriel Davis close that cushion vertically between himself and Thornhill here, and then you have Thornhill opening up, I think Josh just read that and said, you know what, this is my shot. And real quick, I do want to show you guys something real quick as far as just the route concept goes, because I'll show you a little EP playbook here. It's a two-man concept. The Bills actually call this a tin route, so it's a two-in route right here. But as you can see, the coaching point right here on the screen is if you see cover 4, you're running a post, and it's exactly what Gabriel Davis was doing there. And so he obviously went deep there, but again, he didn't run it across the face of Thornhill. Thornhill opened up to Knox, and Josh is like, oh, come on. The guy's pretty much right on you. I'm going to throw it deep. But either way, the execution on that play was just phenomenal. The throw from Josh Allen, and just I like it coming off of play action because they showed it earlier in the game, but it was never, he never pushed it down the field. He took more checkdowns, honestly. But just a really nice play from Josh Allen and Gabriel Davis, again, getting behind that coverage. So we're going to fast forward a little bit here. This is, again, in the one of the first plays, I believe, of the drive. So top of the fourth quarter here. And this is something he did several times in this game where he sensed pressure and ended up climbing the pocket and reacquiring his target off of play action here. Climbs the pocket right here, 2 hands on the ball, and then finds Gabriel Davis on a comeback route. And Gabriel Davis is going to sit on the numbers, but I love how he sees Josh climbing the pocket. He works back to the ball and is able to complete that. Just really nice pocket manipulation on this play from Josh Allen. He senses, Spencer Brown kind of losing to Ingram off the left side there, which he did a lot. Spencer Brown had a tough game against Ingram, but more importantly, Josh climbing the pocket helps out his blockers right here. And they're able to wall off and create more of a sustained pocket right there. But as soon as he hits the line of scrimmage, Bruce, he's able to reacquire his target and hit Gabriel Davis for the first down.
Yeah, there's a fundamental difference between beating the blitz and beating pressure. And I think it's one of the things that we don't necessarily always think about, especially when the offensive line isn't performing well. We have a tendency to kind of conflate the two concepts, and they're not. It's not the same from a play calling standpoint. It's not the same from a quarterback standpoint. We saw earlier that Josh Allen beat the cover 0 blitz. He beat it with his brain. He beat it with his arm. But when you have a 4-man rush, you have the availability there to be able to beat pressure with pocket movement. And when you beat pressure with pocket movement against 4 rushers, then you can find a throwing window. And if you try and do that against cover 0, you turn your back to the ball and you try and run out of it, then you're going to get getting sacked. So it's an understanding of, am I facing pressure here or am I facing a blitz here? Because it's not the same thing. And you can pull this stuff off against a 4-man rush. It allows you to acquire things that you otherwise would not necessarily be able to acquire because you need to have stuff develop over time. So to me, it's about just waiting to point out that these plays are two sides of the beating pressure coin. This play is kind of the inverse side of the cover zero blitz that was a touchdown to Gabriel Davis earlier. Now, both ironically ended up going to Gabriel Davis, but this is one side of the coin. That's the other side of the coin. Previously in his career, Josh Allen would approach all of the pressure the same, which is I can beat it with my legs. I can beat it with my legs because I'm a superior athlete. That's what I can do. And you can't do that against cover zero pressure in the NFL. You can't. But you can against the 4-man rush here, which allows you to step up, acquire your target, and move forward.
Can I say something real quick?
Yep.
Can you just go back to that previous play? I just wanted to highlight the subtlety of Gabriel Davis's route. Just go to the sideline angle of it. Most routes break around 10 yards. The subtlety that he has in getting upfield and then his body language and the gear change at 10 yards to sell like he's going vertical, and then how he just gears right back down and pops back out. That's just a really nice nuanced route from a second-year player. And Josh makes the play and is able to get it to him. But I just thought that was a really nice piece. We see it later when he completely turns Mike Hughes inside out for a touchdown. But Gabriel Davis's route running has started to reach next level stuff towards the back end of this year. And the subtlety of this one, just selling that vertical and knowing what the defender knows and using it against him was just really impressive on that one for me.
Right. We talk about, the hero ball to heroics and how Josh was just willing the offense late in this game. This is a 3rd and 4 situation. Bills down 5 points here, 6:04 on the clock. This is the 17 play drive here. Bills are in a 3-by-1 bunch set to the top of the screen. Dawson Knox isolated to the bottom. As I let it roll, watch the 2 defenders that I have circled. They're keeping an eye on Stephon Diggs. And 3rd and 4 situation, when a defense is in man coverage, with no spy, Josh Allen's going to take it. And he wasted 0 time taking this play. As soon as you see both those defenders kind of looking at Diggs, and the defender that's on Diggs, Ward, he's the one that, comes in and makes the tackle and really kind of gets the short end of the stick on this one. Again, look, Josh hits the top of the drop. Oh, man coverage, 3rd and 4. No one's spying me. I'm out. And he makes the guys pay. He makes those secondary defenders pay right there. Lowers his shoulder, hurts Ward. Another one of those plays, Anthony, where Josh Allen just bigger, stronger, faster. And I'm not talking just, play speed faster. Just, hey, I hit the top of my drop. It's man coverage. Guess what? I need to get a first down here to extend this drive. And it's part of the reason on this drive they converted so many 3rd downs and 4th downs to extend this drive and obviously score a touchdown on the back end.
Yeah, his processing ability and ability to understand what's going on. I love that you mentioned that. The first time when it happened live, I thought maybe it was a draw. And then even watching it back the first time in the all 22, I was like, oh, okay, QB draw. And then I paid attention to the receivers and realized this was a real pass play, but this is Josh just dropping back, realizing the coverage and the rush lanes and taking off. So he's fast with his mental ability. Another example, to use Bruce's phrasing from earlier, of mental dominance from Josh Allen. And then what do you get? Like you said, he puts his shoulder down, trucks Charvarius Ward, hurts him on this play. He has to sit out for the next play. Like what other player in this league has this type of weaponry in the arsenal? The arm, the head, the legs, the size. He's shown elusiveness. He's shown power. He's trucking defenders. This is a weapon. And I know Josh is playing quarterback now. He's playing it with his head. He's playing it with his arms and his feet. But he is still very much just a weapon and a force back there, and just this raw ball of talent. And you see it on plays like this when he's able to just see something, hit it quick with his head and with his legs. And it's an impressive play from Josh, and another physically imposing one.
Yeah, Bruce, and talk about this play. 3rd and 1 situation, 4:39 on the clock, short yardage. They need a first down. This is Allen, the athlete. Just watch Frank Clark, who's the contained player off the right, Bruce. He leaves him in the dust and is able to pick up the first down.
A lot of running, as we talked about earlier, is not just about speed. And it's about understanding angles. It's about understanding blocks. And we have seen Josh Allen understand angles really well, especially when running to the outside. You saw him against the Patriots recognize that he did not have the angle and okey doke his way back inside to be able to pick up a crucial first down. Against this one, he says, no, I have the angle. Frank Clark cannot get me on this. It's a little bit like playing air hockey while the air hockey table is on the back of a semi. That's what running is in the NFL. It's about understanding angles while in motion. And Josh Allen's ability to understand angles while in motion, understand where somebody else's position is relative to his, understanding how fast he's moving, how fast that person's moving. It's a lot more difficult than it looks because Josh Allen is not the fastest player on the field. He's not. In fact, he's a reasonably fast player, but he's not like a 4.5 guy. Everyone seems to think like, oh, Josh Allen runs a 4.5 or something like he's not like a freakity freak when it comes to straight line speed, right? He is a freakity freak athlete. That's not even gonna question that. But it's not about just running fast in a straight line. It's about understanding angles. It's about understanding what you want to do and accomplish on the play. And this is an example.
Yeah, and here's a play we mentioned at the top, right, Anthony? 4th and 4 situation. Allen's will to win. It's a scramble. 3:12 on the clock. Bills down 5 points here in the third quarter with the ball on the 30-yard line. And, I mean, the routes really didn't even develop.
Nope.
Josh Allen was just ready to take it, take the play on, put it on his back, and he absolutely did from this end zone angle. I mean, watch some of the elusiveness on this play. He's making Ingram miss. Ingram with a hell of a power move right there, club move on Spencer Brown, sends him to the ground. So Josh Allen has pressure in his face. He has guys diving all over the top of dudes, trying to bring him down. And then the little juke move on Frank Clark, breaks his ankles, and he converts the first down, man. Talk about that will from Josh Allen to win this down.
The right side of the offensive line fails him. Darrell Williams gets beat inside. Spencer Brown gets murked right away by that club from Ingram. This play should not work. This is 4th and 4, and Josh has pressure right away. The offensive line breaks down. Like you said, the play doesn't get a chance to develop. He's dead in the water, except he's not because he's Josh Allen. And he evades Melvin Ingram. And then we see 98 is like, well, I feel like in his mind, he's like, I got to get to Josh Allen because he's Josh Allen. So he tries to make this I love how you slow-mo there. He tries to make this action hero leap over Spencer Brown on the ground. Allen shakes him. This is what really makes it, right? Oof. Frank Clark has the angle. So Josh stutters a little bit just to make Frank have to change his gait. And when Frank Clark changes his gait, Allen reestablishes the angle, gains leverage on the outside, and then takes off. This is everything, again, of what Josh Allen is. The will to make a play, the composure, the understanding, the athleticism, the poise, all of it together, showing that progression in one play on a huge play in a 4th and 4. Had to have it. He beats 3 dudes all by himself. First down.
Yeah, and I want to move forward to the Gabriel Davis touchdown. So, I mean, this was the play right after I think Josh was under pressure. He tried dumping it down the motor and actually ended up taking a huge loss on the play. 2:01 on the clock, 4th and 13 situation. Bills still down 5. Same drive. And this route from Gabriel Davis, you talked about it, Anthony, at the top about how Gabriel Davis's route running has come along. I mean, it's a really great route. Mm-hmm. He widens the corner in this cover 3 look. And I talked about evaluation and how, things have changed for me personally, scouting quarterbacks where, prior to this draft class of quarterbacks with Allen and the guys I mentioned earlier, arm strength was pretty low on my priority list, but I've realized that over time, there are certain areas of the field where it matters. There are certain situations, and there are just a different array of factors when arm strength actually does matter, the more that offenses evolve in this league, Bruce. So I want you to talk about not just Gabriel Davis's route here. We would all love to see Bruce
too. Yeah,
we would love to see him run a route because then we can see who he is. But Bruce, I want you to talk about Gabriel Davis's route here and how they attack this cover 3 look and really how Josh Allen is able to hit him in stride for a big touchdown for the Bills fans.
I was the guy defending the routes. I wasn't the guy running the routes historically. So you wouldn't have seen me anyway. But I think that one of the things that is interesting about Gabriel Davis is that coming into the league, right? The knock on Gabriel Davis was how limited the route tree was at UCF. And already in this film room, Anthony has pointed out some nuances to route running. And we're starting to see it here. And going into this particular season, one of the big topics for the Bills this offseason is going to be, is Gabriel Davis ready to be the number 2 receiver. And is it somebody where we need to draft somebody? A lot of people were along the Elijah Moore train last year, things like that. And when you see things like this and you see him developing the nuances that I think everyone pretty much agreed he had a limited route tree coming out of college with UCF. A lot of it was vertical. And as you mentioned, Erik, it's one of those scenarios where he just finds his way on top. Yeah, okay, I get he runs a 4.54 or something like that, but he just consistently finds himself stacking defenders. And these are the nuances in the routes that give you hope. If you are someone who is Gabriel Davis as wide receiver 2, this particular route, and along with the earlier one that Anthony wisely pointed out, are the things that give you hope. Of course, none of that matters if Josh Allen can't make the throw from the opposite hash, mind you. And those things matter because that window can close. Now, of course, it helped that the defender fell down here, but it's still a throw that if you have to lob it up, then you have a flat-footed safety sitting at the goal line who can potentially come in and make a play if you have to lob up. But that's not the situation with this throw. You have a cannon, you can make a seam throw. It's not just about tight ends down the seam, and you can do it from the opposite hash.
Yeah, what are your thoughts, Anthony, on this play?
You highlighted it. You nailed everything. Bruce nailed everything. I don't want to add too much. I just love that Hughes has the leverage and the space. So what does Gabriel Davis do? When you got a corner who's got leverage in the space, you attack the corner, you attack that space. And he does that. He literally runs at him, attacks him, plants his foot in the ground, puts him in the spin cycle. I feel so bad. It looks like Hughes got sniped with a 50 cal and just goes down like in a heap, crumpled. It's a really great route. Bruce touched on it here. And the throw is great. Opposite hash, arm strength, accuracy, placement, arm talent, whatever you want to talk about from Josh Allen. Kudos to him. But also the vision, to go from the right to the left and come back and make that throw. But it's Gabriel Davis again, showing some savvy and doing what it takes to break down a corner in only his second year to make himself available for Josh to make that throw. And that was on 4th and 13. That's big boy football from this
4th
offense.
and 13. After that motor mishap where he caught it and they lost yardage, I'm like, oh my God. Like the probability of them converting that 4th and 13, I was not confident in that was going to happen. So big throw, big play. I mean, the ball's on these guys, man. Like he has, they said it, he has ice in his veins. And then you go to this next play, the 2-point conversion. This is just, Josh again, making a play. The play design didn't yield anyone open. Josh is running around, as you'll see from the end zone angle, and he's able to hit Diggs in the back of the end zone for the 2-point conversion. You don't really see these type of plays. And again, you're talking about plays against Chris Jones, who's creating pressure right there. Frank Clark, who's supposed to be the contain guy on the right side of the field here. Look at Josh put those two guys in a spin cycle and then just hold it. This guy, Reed right here, wants to get his hands up, wants to get a lick on Josh Allen. You have another defender, Snead, hanging out right here. Obviously, Davis is covered up. So there is a slight passing lane right here. And somehow Josh holds it till the very last second and is able to hit Diggs along the back line for the conversion there. Bruce, man, talk about this play from the end zone angle.
The checklist necessary to pull off this play is longer than any play in recent memory. Okay, so front side of the play, as you mentioned, yields nothing. Okay, let's work our way backside on the play. What's that? Still nothing. Okay, let's roll away from pressure. Now we're on step 3, rolling away from pressure. Great. Now we recognize that the angle has been lost. We lost the angle. Great, pivot away. Now we have to get distance because as a right-handed quarterback, rolling left, you have to get distance, or else when you go to cock and throw, you're going to have a defender closing on you who can break it up or potentially strip the ball. You got to get distance. Okay, now he's clear distance. Now you have to reacquire, but wait, you have to hold because the window's not open yet. So you have to hold. Gabriel Davis is sitting right there, which means the longer you hold this, the bigger the window's going to get. So you have to hold. Now you have to make a throw off platform, running to your left, throwing back across your body. Oh, just easy thing. This is the longest checklist of any play that I can think about in recent memory, where every single step requires something that not a lot of quarterbacks can do. A lot of quarterbacks don't even make it past the front side nothing, backside nothing. That's it. That's the end of the play. But wait, there's more. That's what this play is. This play is the OxyClean play. But wait, there's more. And there just keeps being more and more and more and more and more. And when you look at it in totality, it's just redonkulous.
Anthony, what you got on this, man? This is just ridiculous, dude. Oh my
I don't
God.
have anything as good as this is the OxyClean type of play. You broke this down on Twitter earlier. It's unreal. Again, it's what we've said in this entire game: the calm, the composure, and this play right here, along with the one on the 4th and 4 run earlier. This is the example of from hero ball to heroics. This is Josh making something out of nothing. This is him trying to do everything he can to make a play. Bruce articulated it perfectly. Front side, nah. Backside, nah. The two best defenders for the Chiefs, Tyrann Mathieu is out. So the two best defenders for this defense are Chris Jones and Frank Clark. And they're not just the best for Kansas City. They're pretty good football players. Frank Clark is a substandard human being, but I digress. Josh Allen puts them both in the spin cycle and takes them out. They are both very good football players. He gets rid of them. Jaron Reed is a good football player. He's bearing down on you. Josh has, again, the wherewithal to hold, to allow a window to be cracked open a little, widen a little, and then make this throw to Diggs. And he has to throw it where he throws it to Diggs because Snead still has that angle a little bit. So he puts it over Snead, but also away from him so Snead can make an impact on it. Diggs, what a freaking catch. For him to stop his momentum, extend backwards. He's extending backwards. His momentum is still carrying him forwards. He has to lean backwards, make a hands catch, and then get both feet down. He's literally looking at the ground and the boundary as he taps his feet. Awareness from Diggs, athleticism from Diggs, technical prowess from Diggs, and all of those things and more for the hero of our saga and our story, Josh Allen. Just, man, amazing play. And now we get to the part of the game that's awesome, but also extremely sad. And I'm going to go throw up while you talk about this.
Yeah, Chiefs are up 33-29 here, 2nd and 10 situation. 57 seconds on the clock, second play of this drive late in the game. And I talked about it earlier. Josh Allen's ability to manipulate the pocket against 4-man rushes and, hit that line of scrimmage nearly and then find Gabriel Davis. And the anticipation, you see him looking to the bottom of the screen, and then he sees the pressure coming around the edge from Ingram versus Brown. So what does he do? Climbs the pocket, and more times than not, you're like, okay, he's probably just going to run it. The safety's dropping into the underneath area, more of like a two-robber type look. But as Knox goes across the screen, that guy bites on that crossing route as Josh is climbing the pocket. So now that window's opening. Look at Josh making the throw here, and Gabriel Davis just came out of the break right here. He reacquires the target, and he's able to hit Gabriel Davis right there near midfield. Just a remarkable play when the Bills needed really to swing the field here on this play, right, Bruce?
Yeah, buying time in the pocket forces coverages to expose their binaries. And when you have a robber who goes down, so obviously it's a rat if it goes backwards, it's a robber if it goes forwards. But being able to force that person to make a call, it's a little bit like playing rock, paper, scissors, but the other guy has to throw it a split second before you. If you're quick enough, then your success probability goes way up and it's on you to execute. And that's what buying time in the pocket goes, because I have a feeling that people have a tendency to think that longer time to throw equals bad and shorter time to throw equals good. And longer time to throw equals slow mental processing. But that's not always the case. In this case, longer time to throw is forcing that robber to say, okay, no, I have to make a call here. I can't sit here and wait for Gabriel Davis to come to me. I have to make a call, and I'm going to make a call on Dawson Knox. That opens up Gabriel Davis behind him. So buying time forces coverages to expose binaries, and that's what you have here. And the ability to just pull up, climb the pocket, pull up, reacquire, and throw matters because the time that he spent manipulating the pocket has now exposed the options. Because 23 can't just decide that he's going to hang out forever. He's got to make a call. He's got to go at some point. And if you can hang on, if you can manipulate the pocket, if you can step up, then you can make throws like this. You can make plays like this because you're making the defense have to declare what they're going to give you.
Yeah, Anthony, I want you to talk about what he saw as he's climbing the pocket and maybe why he kind of, went back into passing mode as Frank Clark kind of closed in on him.
Yeah, so he could have run here, and there was a comment in the chat just now that said, younger Josh Allen, takes off and runs here. But this year, we've seen him escape with the idea of keeping his eyes downfield and looking to pass. And he sees Clark start to cut off his angle a little bit. And then I think he also gets his head up and realizes that, the levels that the Bills are at right now, there's a conflict defender, and that's, number 23, Watts.
Mhm.
He's coming up and slicing on Knox, and Allen realizes, oh, I'm about to have all this wide open space in the middle. You highlighted 23 right there. He is fully committed to Knox. And much like Allen could see the body language of Juan Thornhill on the 75-yard touchdown to Gabriel Davis, I think Allen sees the body language of Watts. He sees him beeline as 56 passes him off, and he realizes, there's about to be a wide open hole in the middle of the field. So I'm going to pull up, and I'm just going to make a throw. Again, in the middle of the play, your adrenaline's kicking in, your fight or flight responses are kicking in, you're scrambling. His wherewithal again to pull up and be like, oh, wait a minute, I know what's going on here, and then throw a dime. The physical is always important for Josh Allen. The mental has been highlighted so much in this game. And then again, makes another good throw. Gabriel Davis, hands catch, athleticism, get upfield, drive starter here. Very important to start to get the momentum going, making everybody start to believe. Huge throw, huge play.
Right. So same drive. And you started to see late in the game, the Chiefs kind of rolled from their 2 high coverages into single high coverages, which gives receivers outside one-on-ones. You're going to see back-to-back plays here. Great anticipation. I want you to watch Gabriel Davis to the top of the screen. It's a pretty similar route to earlier in the game that they didn't connect on, but the mental processing, Josh Allen checking the safeties, it's the first thing that quarterbacks do when they get to the line of scrimmage. And post-snap, you see one safety dropping into the hole. You see another rotating. And Josh smartly throws away from the safety that's obviously going to the post there. He knows that he has one-on-one coverage to the top of the screen. And Gabriel Davis does a great job of coming back for the ball here on this play. So really good work. Again, trusting Gabriel Davis. But Josh Allen reading the coverage pre to post snap. And I'm going to go to the next play because it's very similar, right, Bruce, to the bottom of the screen. Another one-on-one play. Watch the safety rotation post snap. Thornhill goes to the post. Well, guess what? I got Emmanuel Sanders one-on-one to the bottom. Both of these plays were big throws from Josh Allen, trust throws to the receivers as they're coming out of the breaks with great anticipation.
Yeah, you saw the Chiefs go from 2 robber to 1 robber here. And what you have is, you have exterior routes. And one of the things that a lot of quarterbacks never quite end up developing in their arsenal is they never quite develop that back shoulder throw. You've seen Aaron Rodgers and Devonta Adams beat single high coverage with this particular type of throw for what feels like forever. And nobody, I don't think anybody, maybe in the history of football, has ever thrown it better than Aaron Rodgers. So seeing these types of throws from Josh Allen just expands the arsenal of what he can beat, because there's certain types of quarterbacks that just can't make this throw. It is a very feeling sort of a throw. It's kind of I don't want to say you're aiming it because that has a negative connotation when people say you're aiming the ball, but you kind of are with back shoulder throws like this. It's not quite as good as the one to Gabriel Davis was before, right. But given the fact that Emmanuel Sanders basically hadn't been targeted all game long, I'll still take it, because Aaron Rodgers doesn't have these types of throws nearly as well with Marquez Valdez-Scantling as he does with Devonta Adams. And being able to make this throw with a player who's, mind you, not Stephon Diggs, not Gabriel Davis, not some of the players he's been playing with forever, in a huge moment, I think it matters.
Yeah, real quick, Anthony, the throw to Davis, the throw to Sanders, what were your favorite parts of those plays from Josh Allen? Again, late in the game where the defense ended up going to single high type looks, which was not really the case for most of this game.
No, it wasn't. And for me, my favorite part is the anticipation. If you pause it right when Josh is starting to cock back on this one, just when he starts to bring his arm back and throw. So he's dropping, he's about to boom right there. Gabriel Davis is nowhere near the top of his route about to release. The anticipation on this throw, again, things that people said Josh Allen could not do. It was, you know what? He can make up for not being able to throw with anticipation because he has a cannon, right? Look at the angle the corner is taking there. Look at the leverage that, oh, you're starting to type it already. I'm seeing it come up there now. Leverage over the top the corner. So Josh puts it a little more inside, and he throws it with anticipation, his ability to read it. So by the time Gabriel Davis comes out of his route, the corner has to plant. So the anticipatory throw gives Davis more opportunity to separate from the corner. So it creates an advantageous situation for Gabriel Davis, combined with the fact that, like you said, Gabriel Davis attacks this ball. He makes that ball his. He doesn't wait. He doesn't allow it to come to him. He comes out of his break. He attacks it. He brings it in. And he's able to, one, because of the route he runs, but two, because of the anticipation that Josh throws with and his understanding of the leverage the corner has, combined with, you drew the little arrow right there, looks in the middle of the field, holds some defenders in the middle, and look how Watts, 23, takes the bait again. He sees his eyes. He's like, okay, cool. Let me come to the middle. What's happening here? And Josh is like, nothing. I'm throwing outside. And he throws it outside. And because you just saw it there on that flash, you saw that route on the middle of the field. So Josh uses that route and his eyes to take up the defender. He does a very similar thing to Manny on that backside. I used to call it a cowboy route in ball, but on that one-on-one to Manny, throws with anticipation. Manny makes a great catch while he's being interfered with. And then here comes what should have been the cherry on a delicious AFC divisional round winning cake.
Yeah, this is obviously the touchdown to Gabriel Davis, solidifying his big night, solidifying Josh Allen's big night. Split safety look. Diggs gets basically two defenders bracketing him. But you got to give it to Gabriel Davis here. He creates that separation over the middle versus that middle of the field open look. He gets into the defender, pushes off, creates that separation to the bottom of the screen. You see the safety watching Diggs. He's got a corner as well in his outside hip pocket. So they're paying attention to Diggs. So Diggs curls it up. And again, look at the space to the middle of the field for Gabriel Davis. We talked about the route running. We talked about how he's able to create separation more times than not and catch people off guard. Well, this physicality, again, I think the Chiefs were not ready for the physicality and even the route running for that matter with Gabriel Davis. They're an aggressive team. They like to get into the wide receivers and get physical with them. It can't work on guys like Gabriel Davis. He's just different than most of the guys in the receiver room, and he just creates that separation there for his quarterback and, again, solidifies what we thought was a win for Josh Allen, but obviously that was ripped away. Bruce, talk about this play, brother.
Too high, too high, too high, too high. It's all we heard all year long was too high, too high, too high. Well, now the Bills are being played differently. They're being played with a too high shell. And I think one of the things that we just intrinsically understand from all those years looking at the Tampa 2 back with the Buccaneers was, one of the ways you beat that is with a tight end seam down the middle. I mentioned earlier as a lead up to this particular play that seam routes are not tight end dependent. You can have a player like Gabriel Davis, if they have the physicality to be able to do things like this, and they have the body to be able to get themselves open, present themselves to Josh Allen and be able to say, you know what? No. I have a right to this space. You're not just going to hang on me down the seam. I'm not Cole Beasley. That's not who I am. I don't think you know who I am. I'm Gabriel Davis, mother. Like, this is the way this goes. So for me, it's Dawson Knox is not on the field here. This is important. Dawson Knox is not on the field, and you're facing too high. You might think, based on what you've heard about the traditional football outings, that puts the Bills at a disadvantage because, seam routes are tight end. I got to hit the tight end down the seam. No, you don't have to hit a tight end on the seam. You just have to hit somebody down the seam. And Gabriel Davis as a run blocker and Gabriel Davis as a seam runner with the physicality can do a lot of things that tight ends can do. And so for me, this outlines the type of things that the Buffalo Bills can go to in their arsenal when they see, and they're going to continue to see, too high stuff. The Chiefs showed less of it than most because Spagnuolo is traditionally a one high press man kind of guy. That's who Steve Spagnuolo is. That's who he's always been. He's going to bring pressure. He's going to do that. But other teams around the league are going to continue to play Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills in too high. And it's nice to know you've got this in your back pocket.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the injury to Matthew kind of changed some things on their side of the ball. But I mean, Anthony, we always talk about Gabriel Davis doing tight end, quasi tight end things, right? Whether it's blocking on crack tosses, on some of those pin and pull runs, playing that quasi tight end role like Bruce talked about, man. And yes, I mean, he's got the size to create that separation. You see it here.
Look at him lean. You highlighted it a little earlier. Look at him lean into the defender to create leverage and separation. And he's leaning on him as he gets vertical in his stem, still leaning. And then watch how he just pops it right out. And look at the separation he creates when he pops it out. Look how much room there now is. That room wasn't there because of the coverage initially. So Gabriel Davis plays off that. Again, another example of Gabriel Davis attacking the type of coverage that he's seeing. So he leans into it, plays into it, pops right off. That's a move you see from a veteran receiver. That's a move you see from a good route running wide receiver. Bruce mentioned the type of back shoulder throws that Rodgers and Adams like to work. This is a Devontae Adams-esque route. You'll see him lean it into his man and then use his quickness and quick feet and pop out and create separation. Look at the separation. He created about 2 to 3 yards of separation purely from the route running. Like, again, nuance, ability. Great throw by Allen. A game that, we're not going to look back on fondly, but Allen had a monster game. The underlying subplot of this game was Gabriel Davis with the 4 receiving touchdowns, a postseason record, but his, I would say, ascension to wide receiver 2 level. And a lot of it is not just physicals. It's the mentals. It's the technique. It's plays like that, really just showcasing what he can do. And it's focusing on these things that'll make you appreciate this game a little bit and not want to throw yourself out a window.
Yeah, we talked about before the show offline, talked about how we always have a time frame or reference how we want to do these shows. Obviously, we went a little long tonight, guys, but really about the 2-hour mark, which we were joking about earlier. With that said, Bruce, we loved having you in the film room. We're going to do this again. We have some ideas we're kicking around. So for all of the fans of Bruce and his podcast, be on the lookout in the future for some of the stuff we're going to be working on together. So, Bruce, thanks for joining us in the film room. Let everyone know where they can find you, what nights they can find you, what you got going on from here on out.
Well, if the metaphors did not scare you away, you can find my podcast, The Bruce Exclusive, drops every Thursday on the Buffalo Rumblings podcast network. You can find me. I'm around. I dabble. I'm here or there. I try and get with Anthony on Disguise coverage as much as I possibly can. And our schedules are weird, so it doesn't always happen. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Bruce Exclusive. Fair warning, if you follow me on Instagram, it's basically just food, dogs, and memes. But that's one of the ways that people stay sane. So that's where you can find me if you so choose. By the way, comment section, thank you for pointing out that Dawson Knox was indeed on the field there at the far, far, far top of the screen, and I couldn't see him. So that's 2 now. I did. I had missed F.A. Obata instead of Mario Addison.
All right.
And then Dawson Knox there. See, you should have given me more time to prep, guys.
No, hey, I'm glad you were able to pull it off either way, my dude. And again, thank you for joining us in the film room. Anthony, the workhorse, let everyone know what you got going on, the rest of this week and obviously going forward, brother.
Yeah, so no Disguise coverage tomorrow, taking a break in that regard, but I will be back at it with Disguise coverage live next week, Wednesday, 7 p.m. I'm going to start to shift towards free agent talk and a lot of draft focus, analyzing what positions the Bills need, some college football stuff to go over, taking a look at prospects, needs, evaluations, fits, scheme, history, all that kind of stuff. So starting to shift focus towards the offseason when it comes to Disguise coverage and everything. And then, as always, find me here as the co-host of the film room with yourself, Mr. Erik Turner, anytime and every time we roll this. And I hope everyone stays sane and is able to back up off the ledge a little bit, because it's going to be okay. We got a great team. There's a lot of good things to move with going forward. And even if it's not, we'll be here to tell you why it's terrible and break it all down.
That's a fitting ending to this show. Guys, thank you for joining us in the film room. Over 200 still with us for a 2-hour film room session. It was fun. We appreciate you tuning in. On behalf of Bruce Nolan, Anthony Prohaska, Disguise coverage, I'm Erik Turner. We'll see you soon.